Dontaesboxingnation, what's going on, guys? You know, I tell you all the time, the most dangerous weapon in the world is what? A microphone and a camera. Whenever you get on camera or a microphone and it's recorded for the public to see, and you have an ulterior motive, eventually it's going to show. So with that being said, I get this link of Bill Haney doing an interview with someone, or at least it's a small clip of Bill Haney basically forcing someone to contradict themselves. Now, the name of the channel is Mill City Boxing. Now, from what I've been told from the people who send me these clips, is this guy has been constantly trashing Devin Haney. I got another fan who sends me news all the time, and he told me that he had a conversation with this guy a while ago. He said he didn't know that he was a racist until they start talking about boxing, and he said surprisingly, this guy started using all of the racist people's talking points when he talked about black fighters and when he talked about defending non-black fighters. And this guy I'm talking about who told me this, he's not black, by the way. He's actually Latino. And he told me he was so surprised and offended the stuff that this guy was saying, he had to stop talking to him. So with that being said, this is the guy who gets an opportunity to talk to Bill Haney directly. Now, you would think that someone who's not a fan of Devin Haney's at all, if they had an opportunity to interview Devin Haney or Devin Haney's father, Bill Haney, you would think that they would have all kind of ammunition to expose Bill Haney as a hypocrite, as a liar, etc., right? Like when you guys see me interview Abel Sanchez when Abel Sanchez was training Golovkin, and Golovkin was avoiding Andre Ward, and Abel Sanchez, he was making racial remarks about black boxers, etc. I questioned him on all of this and forced him to contradict himself over and over again. When you guys see our new media reporters like Skip that we sent out to cover the fights, all of those questions that you guys hear Skip ask, those are all the questions that me and Ike, we write and we send to him. And they're always real questions that the fans want answers to. That's what our new media motto is all about. So normally, it's the talent who's supposed to be in the hot seat when he's being interviewed. But in this case, because the guy who's interviewing Bill Haney has already been documented saying a lot of things that will come back and bite him in the ass on camera, he was put in the hot seat. And this is what a lot of these guys on the internet are learning. It don't matter if you have the smallest platform or the biggest platform. Bill Haney is going to hop onto your platform, especially if you're one of the people who's been trashing his son. So with that being said, I want to go ahead and play this clip that was sent to me. Once again, Bill Haney is doing an interview with someone who's not a Devin Haney fan at all. And pay attention to the things that Bill Haney gets this guy to admit. By the way, I'm going to put the link in the description box because I really want you guys to listen to the entire interview, how this guy constantly contradicts himself and uses all of the typical casual fan racist comments that we see in the comment section. He's trying to use all of those talking points in this interview with Bill Haney. He completely exposes himself. So me playing this clip, it doesn't do enough justice. You really need to watch the entire exchange between him so you can really see what this guy is all about. He's not a Devin Haney fan, and he's not a Gervonta Tank Davis fan either. And I'll get deeper and explain why, but let's play this clip for now.
One of the biggest fights that you said that the people want to see that they're not getting a chance to see is Canelo and Benavidez. So I would like to know the second biggest fight that the people want to see, that they aren't getting a chance to see, isn't happening, and why isn't it happening?
Here we go. So the second fight that I want to see, it's definitely more watching Haney more and more and more. I want to see Haney and Tank. I definitely want to see Haney and Tank, and I also Teo and Tank. There's a lot of great fights actually.
Just keep in mind, guys, the question was, what are the fights that the fans want to see? What are the biggest fights that the fans want to see? Not the fights that this guy wants to see personally. Just keep that in mind.
Teo and Tank, to me, to be real, I like
but
that fight more
so
as a fight fan.
okay, so listen,
Do
let's
I think
start.
is
Let's
that
start.
as big? Is that as
No,
big
let's.
as Haney?
Okay,
No.
So let's start the question over. Live on Mill City Boxing, you have Bill Haney asking Mill City a question.
Mm-hmm.
Mill City says that the two biggest fights that come to mind that the people want to see. Now, this is a tough question, Mill City. You said that Canelo and Benavidez is the fight. You also said that Canelo is what's holding that fight up. Can you tell the people what the second biggest fight is that everybody wants to see and why that fight isn't happening and who's holding it up, Mill City, without adding any other fighters but those two fighters?
Yeah, that you're right. That is a tough question. That is a tough question because I know you want to hear Haney and Tank because
If
that
it's
that
not Haney and
that
Tank, who is it?
because you're asking me or what the people want. Because the people want, I ain't gonna hold you. The people definitely want Haney and Tank. That's for
Okay,
sure.
so why isn't that fight happening between Haney and Tank?
I think that you know, timing, the people that are handling the situation for Tank. I think that he runs the show. I think that he's gonna dictate when that fight happens.
Okay, so now you got this guy who was forced to admit that he believes Tank is the one that's holding up the Devin Haney fight. He also said Canelo Alvarez is the one that's holding up the David Benavidez fight. But when Bill asked him why is Canelo holding up the Benavidez fight, this guy gives a complete different answer than why Gervonta is holding up the Devin Haney fight.
That Canelo and Benavidez fight, that's something that I really need to see.
Okay, so who's holding up that fight and why?
Definitely. I would have to say Canelo's people's those handlers and the way that they're
Why?
trying
Why?
to
Why? Why? Why?
dangerous fight.
Okay.
So without hesitation, when it comes to Canelo, he says he's holding up the fight. Why? Because it's a dangerous fight. But when he answers this same question for Gervonta Tank Davis, he ends up trying to tap dance around the question so much that he ends up making Gervonta Tank Davis look even worse.
What's holding that fight up? Can you tell the people what the second biggest fight is that everybody wants to see and why that fight isn't happening and who's holding it up, Mill City, without adding any other fighters but those two fighters?
Yeah, that you're right. That is a tough question. That is a tough question
But the Canelo Benavidez question wasn't tough at all.
because I know you want to hear Haney and Tank because
If
that
it's
that
not Haney and
that
Tank, who is it?
because you're asking me or what the people want. Because the people want, I ain't gonna hold you. The people definitely want Haney and Tank. That's for
Okay,
sure.
so why isn't that fight happening between Haney and Tank?
I think that you know, timing, the people that are handling the situation for Tank. I think that he runs the show. I think that he's gonna dictate when that fight happens. And yeah, it's
So
just I,
you don't.
I feel like he
Okay, so
runs.
you don't think that him. So now you're saying it's not the handlers. You think it's actually Tank that doesn't want to make the
No,
fight
I
happen with
didn't say
Devin
that.
Haney.
I said the handlers. The handlers.
Now let's listen to what this man said again.
I think that he runs the show. I think that he's gonna dictate when that fight happens.
He, meaning Gervonta Tank Davis, runs the show, and he is going to dictate when the fight happens. Haney has this guy completely double talking.
So you're saying the Tank's handlers are advising him not to take the fight, and he's taking the handlers' advice to not take the fight. Correct?
Yeah, because they have plans. They
Oh,
have
because they have
plans
plans.
for his career.
Okay,
Yeah, just like
right.
anybody else that's
But
handling
but
one.
those plans aren't satisfying the people that you just said want to see the fight. Then.
There is a holdback. There is a pushback.
So
That
it is a pushback. So it's a pushback from what the fans want to see, right? And they're pushing what. So what are they pushing? Who wants to see what they're pushing?
And another good question would be, what is the plan? If they have plans, what is the plan? To become undisputed at 135? To move up to 140 and fight against Devin Haney and become undisputed? What is the plan? And who does Gervonta Tank Davis personally want to fight? Because keep in mind, guys, it was Gervonta Tank Davis that wanted the Ryan Garcia fight, and he made it happen. It wasn't PBC and Al Heyman that advised him to take the Ryan Garcia fight. If you interview Davis right now, he would tell you that was his decision to make the Ryan Garcia fight. He wanted that fight. So we now know for sure that before Davis fought Ryan Garcia, that was the plan. The plan was to fight Ryan Garcia. So what is the new plan? To fight the new WBC champion Shakur Stevenson? Or to fight Lomachenko, who's about to be a champion at 135? What is the plan now?
Yeah, the thing about with this situation, and Bill, we both
No,
know
but I'm
that
saying is who wants to
business.
see what they're okay? Who wants to see what they're pushing?
What do you mean by that?
Well, you said that it was a holdback. What is the holdback?
All right, now that question right there just completely messed this guy up when he tried to answer it. Because once again, he's constantly tap dancing around the answer. Instead of just saying the same thing that he said when he was talking about Canelo David Benavidez, he keeps tap dancing around this question, and then he ends up saying something even worse, something he regrets saying. Because all he's thinking about is losing his interviews with Tank Davis's trainers and coaches. That's all he's worried about, because he's not a fan of Gervonta Tank Davis's either. He's doing the same thing Ellie Setback is doing. He's using Gervonta Tank Davis as his black card, but it ain't working because he ain't fooling nobody. So once again, this question that Bill Haney asked him, this is when this guy really messes up.
Well, you said that it was a holdback. What is the holdback?
The holdback is that they are choreographing Tank
Okay,
Davis's
choreographed.
career,
Okay.
right?
Okay,
They're
so
figuring
Tank,
out who
so
they're going to
thank you.
come next
Live
with.
on Mill City Boxing, we now have come to the agreement. We understand that Tank's career is being choreographed, and Mill City has confirmed it. I always said that it was. I agree with you.
Now, this is where this guy, he realizes he messed up. So what does he do next? He tries to balance things out by saying, well, Devin Haney's career is choreographed too. But I'm going to show you guys how he completely contradicted himself when he said that.
That it's
Your fight,
choreographed and manufactured.
yours was too.
No, because we didn't know who was going to have the belts. Belts matter to us. We go get them from whoever got them.
Yeah, I know. And George Kambosos, when he won, y'all attacked it. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
we were attacking Lomachenko and we were attacking Teofimo Lopez.
You are now the mandatory challenger for Vasily Lomachenko's 135-pound title. Do you believe at 20 years old you're ready for that type of challenge?
I think you said his name wrong. It's Nomachenko because he doesn't want to fight me. But it's I feel like I'm ready for the fight. This is the WBC mandatory. So Nomachenko, come on, man, let's get this fight going.
We are going to bring in Devin Haney to join this conversation. Devin.
Yeah, okay. It's not about followers. That's why you guys fake it till you make it, right?
Make what? What are you talking about?
You've always
you want to make the fight happen or not?
Yes, I already told you this.
Guys, let's talk about
This is the only reason why this
Look,
boy is
you
still
two are
relevant.
two elite guys in this division,
No,
young
there's
guys
only
in
one
this
elite.
division. All right, well, we'll put it this way.
only
In your
one elite.
mind, why has a fight between Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney not happened at this point?
Because of
It's up
him.
to them.
Because of him, he don't want to make the fight happen.
Wow.
So how did I get the
Yes,
belt?
okay,
How did I get the
it
belt?
is true.
How did I get the belt?
How?
Because Loma didn't want to fight me.
Loma
And same way you don't want to
Oh
fight
my
me.
God.
Same
Bro,
way you don't want to fight me.
Nobody
Same
want
way
to
you don't want to
you.
fight me.
That's a
Fight me.
dream.
You don't want to
Excuse
fight
my
me.
language.
You don't
All
want
right,
to
so
fight
let
me.
me-
You don't
let
want
me-
to fight
let
me.
me- then, all right,
Take control
look,
of your interview.
You have a
Go
fight.
ahead, take
You
it.
have a fight
Take it,
against
yeah.
George Kambosos.
Yeah, this
You
is-
have a fight on December 3rd, hopefully against Jojo Diaz.
For sure, for
Do you
sure.
believe that the fight against Devin Haney will happen early next year?
It's gotta happen. I'm tired of this, dude.
We're going to make it happen
See,
on the
look
zone.
at- let's
We're going to make it
end
happen
right
on the
on
zone.
that. Let's end right on
Make
that.
it
We
happen.
agree.
You heard it here.
We
You heard
agree
it happen
on
on the zone.
Yeah, tired
We
of it.
agree on
We're
something.
going to make it happen on the zone.
I'm tired of this kid, man.
Teofimo Lopez.
Show me. Show me you're tired of me.
Teofimo
Show me you're tired of
Lopez.
me.
I will.
Good
All right,
luck
you
to you
okay?
in
We'll see.
November. Good luck to you,
Yeah.
Devin,
Thank you,
in
thank you.
December. Hopefully we see you two staring at each other early
And then
next
afterwards,
year.
I'm gonna walk away with the
Make
belts.
sure-
Afterwards,
afterwards,
walk away with the belts.
Here
You
in
gonna hold
Fresno,
my
the
nuts
happiest
afterwards.
guys
Hold
in
your
the
nuts.
room.
What
I'm
you
Chris
talking about?
Mannix.
You gonna hold
We'll
my
see you in a
nuts
couple of
afterwards.
weeks back
Right?
here.
Yes, sir.
Teofimo Lopez went and fought George Kambosos, and
Yeah.
George Kambosos battered him up, didn't he? Did he
All right.
not
And when you
batter
had
him
the
the fuck
interim,
up? Yeah.
title, right? When you guys
Right.
had the WBC, what do they call it? The email at the time, right?
Now, it's important to pay attention to every single thing this guy is saying. He just said to Bill Haney that Devin Haney had the interim belt while Teofimo Lopez was fighting George Kambosos. Correction, Devin Haney had the interim belt when he was Lomachenko's mandatory. When Lomachenko refused to fight as mandatory, that's when he vacated the belt, which made Devin Haney the WBC champion. And this is the reason why I say you can make up and say crazy stuff when you're talking to your friends. But you can't make stuff up when you're talking to people that know the actual facts that could easily be proven. But maybe I'm giving this guy too much credit, because it could be very possible that he didn't know what he was talking about when he started talking about being an intern champion. Now, just keep in mind, guys, this is someone posing as a reporter, and he just used Teofimo's talking point, calling Devin Haney an email champ, When this person, if he's been following the sport, he knows that Devin Haney has been chasing Teofimo. I mean, this is something you would expect to hear anonymous fans on the internet say. You would never hear a reporter calling Devin Haney or any fighter an email champ. That's like a reporter calling Floyd Mayweather gay runner, something you only hear the most racist boxing fans call Floyd. Let me just give you guys some more contrast. Let's use Keith Thurman, for example. When Keith Thurman was clearly avoiding Errol Spence, saying he wants $10 million to fight him, and he kept making excuses for why he didn't want to fight Errol Spence. I'm talking about, 5-7 years ago. Despite the fact that Keith Thurman was making it very clear he did not want to fight Errol Spence, you guys have never heard me or any other reporter call Keith Thurman out of his name. Call Keith Thurman something that fans on the internet will call Keith Thurman. But that's exactly what this guy who's interviewing Bill Haney is doing right now. He's using the same talking points that you would hear decafs using in the comment section. And man, I'm telling you, you say ridiculous stuff that you hear people in the comment section say. Do you know how much you leave yourself wide open for counter punches if you try to say that to someone who actually knows the facts?
No, we were in the tournament. We were in the WBC tournament with Zaire Abdullah, Teofimo Lopez, and Javier Fortuna. And then
I'll tell you right now.
Teofimo Lopez took the easier route, which he said would be the easier route to go over there to the IBF. So then that was the easier route, remember? And then that would have George Kambosos in the same route. But he ended up getting his ass. ended up getting his ass marmalade, souffled, and ginsu by George Kambosos.
My prediction is going to be a one to watch. And it's going to be it's going to be a short night. It's going to be a short night. And but at the end of the day, we're going to stay hard, training, stay focused. We can't overlook Kambosos. We can't look over anyone. You have it, and then you can lose it, just like that. So, I'm staying focused on it. Me and my father, we have a great game plan. We know what we're going to do. We're going to execute it just like we did with the Lomachenko fight, but better. And that's what I'm looking forward to. You guys are going to see a better version of Teofimo Lopez than ever before.
So George Kambosos, then he ran to Australia. So we as good-blooded, hard-working Americans, we had to go over to Australia to get it back because Teofimo Lopez, what a job they did up, didn't he? Both Teofimo Senior and Junior, just didn't plan for that. And then
they made a mistake on taking the fight.
Yeah, they made a mistake. They did. They made a mistake. So we had to go back and avenge.
And you capitalized on that.
Well, no, we had to go back and get it. We had to go once and twice to go do that. And then we had to deal with Lomachenko, unhealthy Lomachenko.
Now, once again, this guy who praises Teofimo Lopez and is a big fan of Teofimo Lopez, he's trying to discredit Devin Haney for fighting Kambosos, who beat his guy, Teofimo Lopez. And Teofimo Lopez, in return, turned down a rematch. And then to make this guy look even worse, he defended Teofimo Lopez when Teo said he had an excuse for why he lost. He said Teo had a doctor's note explaining why he lost. So if Teofimo Lopez had an excuse for why he lost, how come he didn't take the rematch? To show people that that wasn't him. Come back and show people this is the real Teofimo. I would have dominated him and beat him easy. He didn't want to fight him because he knew the risk of losing to this man back-to-back would completely destroy his career. Just like Canelo Alvarez knew the risk of losing to Bivol back-to-back would really hurt his career. But it would be worse for Teofimo because they're fighting in the same weight class and he was fighting against a massive underdog. So with that being said, let me just ask you guys a question, and I want you to be very honest. Imagine if it was Gervonta Davis or it was Devin Haney that lost to George Kambosos, and they had a doctor's note, and they had all these excuses for why they lost, but they end up turning down the rematch. And guess who ends up going out there, saving the day, getting all the belts from Australia, and beating Kambosos easy? Teofimo Lopez. If things played out that way, do you guys think this guy would be trashing Teofimo Lopez the way he's trashing Devin Haney? After Teofimo completely dominates Kambosos and beats Lomachenko, do you think he would ever call Teofimo Lopez's career choreographed? Now, if it was Teofimo that was Devin Haney's mandatory, and it was Teo constantly calling out Devin Haney, so much to the point to where he forces Devin Haney to either defend his title and fight Teofimo Lopez or vacate the belt. Devin Haney vacates the belt. Teofimo, he becomes the WBC champion. Do you guys think this guy or any of those other racist fans on the internet would be calling Teofimo an email champ? We know what time it is, don't we? It's just so ironic when you think about the fact I've seen some fans in my comment section say that Bill Haney is just a liar. But yet when Bill Haney pulls up on this guy, who's the one that's stuttering? Who is the one that's double talking, contradicting himself, saying ridiculous things that make no sense? It's the guy that's doing the interview. You know what else this guy does? He starts asking people that put up shorts of what he said to please take the video down. This is what Bill Haney revealed, actually. So apparently there's a guy who does shorts and he calls himself Dr. Boxing. He put up the clip of what Mill City Boxing said, and the guy Mill, he asked him to take the video down. He says, the way you cut it, you made it sound like I was against Tank, which I'm not. Now, something I forgot to tell you guys. Originally, this guy, he took the video down. When Bill Haney found out he took the video down, Bill Haney, he contacted Dr. Boxing and asked him, why did you take the video down? And the guy said, well, because Mill City is asking me to take it down. He's telling me that Tank's people are not happy with the video. Bill Haney responds by saying, this guy Mill City, he has no right to have you take the video down. You can keep it up. He can't do anything about it. So the guy, Dr. Boxing, he re-uploads the video. And this is when he gets this text from Mill City Boxing. So after Mill says, the way you cut it, you made it sound like I was against Tank, which I'm not. The guy responds by saying, not my choice. I'm not in charge here. This is funny to me. He's pleading with this guy. He says, hey, I even said Devin Haney's career was choreographed. And the guy, Dr. Boxing, he responds by saying, yeah, I know. Call me. Mill City responds by saying, take it down. And the response is, ask Bill if he gives you the okay, I will. And this guy, Mill City, he responds by saying, you work for Bill, LOL. The irony of him saying this is he's the one that started off this conversation saying, look, I don't want people thinking I'm against Tank, which I'm not, which means he didn't care if people thought he was against Devin Haney, only if he was against Tank. And if he was worried about Tank's people being upset, by his own logic, he's working for Tank. So anyway, his only response to this guy saying he's not going to take the video down is, haha, you work for Devin Haney. Why does it sound like when people say you work for Devin Haney or you work for Bill Haney, it sounds like they're calling you an N-word lover? Because the reason why this guy Mill City puts LOL after he says you work for Bill Haney is because he knows that he doesn't really work for him. It was just meant to be an insult when he said it. Because this whole term, you work for the Haneys, it's only used when they're talking about a black boxer. You never hear someone say you work for Canelo Alvarez. You work for Teofimo Lopez. You only hear people say this when they're referring to a black boxer. I don't care who you work for. If you're not telling the truth, it's going to be exposed. For example, we know Bill Haney works for Devin Haney, right? But yet, who was the one stuttering and contradicting themselves when Bill Haney was doing this interview? It wasn't Bill Haney. So if Mill City was working for anybody, he got fired after that interview. Now let's get back to the whole choreographed point. This guy is saying, yeah, but I call Devin Haney choreographed too. But the difference is, he also said the whole reason why the fight is not happening between Gervonta Tank Davis and Devin Haney is because Gervonta Tank Davis and his career is choreographed. This man chose to use that word to describe Gervonta Tank Davis to explain why the fight wasn't happening. Which means the only reason he said afterwards, well, Devin Haney's career is choreographed too, is because he did not want people thinking he was against Tank, as he just admitted in this conversation. And the only reason why he doesn't want people to think he's against Tank is because he doesn't want to get fired from getting interviews from Tank's trainers. But Mill doesn't have to worry about that because black fighters and black trainers, at least the majority of them, they don't even pay attention to what's going on when it comes to stuff like this. You could call black people the most racist stuff, and black people are the only ones that will still do interviews with you and act like you never even said it. Just ask Joe Rogan, Ellie Setback, and Vlad TV. So while Tank's trainers may not pay attention to this information, but the boxing world will, social media will, this is why the best advice I could give anyone who's going to step in front of a microphone and a camera and start recording for the whole world to see is better to just speak the whole truth. Because the truth is always easy to remember. Trying to answer things in a political fashion or just outright lying is going to force you to end up lying more. And then you're going to contradict yourself more. And then you're going to get yourself in the same type of trouble that this man Mill City has gotten himself into. begging people to take the video down. Something you done said. I don't have to worry about nothing I said in any of my videos because I know I'm speaking the truth and I know I can back it up if you ever try to challenge it. This guy is trying to make it sound like what he said was taken out of context. That's the furthest thing from the truth, because if you listen to the entire video, it makes this guy look even worse. It exposes this guy for who he really is. Once again, I'm going to put the link in the description box because I want you guys to listen to the whole interview. The real part of the interview doesn't start until they start talking about this comparison when it comes to Devin Haney, Gervonta, and when they talked about the comparison to Canelo and the whole Benavidez situation. You know, it's funny when you think about it, because I think about when Canelo Alvarez, when he says, I can fight whoever I want. Like when they ask him, you know, why don't you fight David Benavidez? He said, you know, I've come to the point in my career where I can fight whoever I want. And when I hear him say that, the first thing I think to myself, well, if you have the power to fight whoever you want, wouldn't you want to show you're the best and fight the best opponents available? Because my point is, if Devin Haney was in a position to literally be able to fight whoever he wants, we know for a fact he would have already fought Gervonta. He would have already fought Teofimo Lopez. He would have already fought Ryan Garcia. That is without a doubt. By way of contrast, Gervonta Tank Davis, he went on the $1 Million Worth game show, and they asked him, they said, how many times you went in their offices or got on the phone and you said, look, man, I want these fighters. I want to fight Devin Haney. I want to fight Shakur. I want to fight this guy, that guy. And Gervonta Tank Davis, he said never. He said he has never implored, he's never asked to fight any of these guys. But Gervonta did ask his people to make the Ryan Garcia fight. That is documented. Now, for the record, I'm optimistic that this fight between Gervonta and Devin Haney, it will happen one day. It's just clearly not in Gervonta Tank Davis's plans right now. Listen, I always tell you guys, it's okay if you're going to be a fan of someone in particular. You just want to be a Teofimo Lopez fan or whatever, that's fine. But there's a difference between being a fan of someone and just being anti-black, being against black fighters in general. And if you guys just pay attention to the talking points that this guy uses in this entire interview with Devin Haney or Bill Haney, then you would be able to tell right off the bat, he's one of those typical type of racist fans that you would see in the comment section that will always root against the black fighter. It doesn't matter who the black fighter is fighting against. He's just going to root against that black fighter. I understand psychology too well, and I understand that these racists today, they look at Gervonta Tank Davis and Devin Haney as the lesser of two evils. Any racist fan that you talk to, they are all going to hate Devin Haney more than they hate Gervonta Tank Davis, and I'll tell you why. It's simply because Devin Haney, he beat Lomachenko. The black fighter who beats the most relevant non-black fighter will always be the most hated. And what made it burn the most is Devin Haney had the nerve to say, I'd never lose to a white boy. And that white boy in particular was the fighter that they were saying was better than Muhammad Ali, better than Floyd Mayweather, Sugar Ray Leonard. At least this is what Bob Arum said. Dan Rafael had said that he would have beat Floyd Mayweather. In a sport that is based on race, nationality, and pride, believe it or not, that Lomachenko-Devin Haney fight, that became one of the most important fights in the history of the sport, low-key, mainly to the race fans. Now, a lot of fans, they were in fear when they found out that Lomachenko even had to fight Devin Haney because, once again, they did not want to see him lose to Devin Haney. This is the reason why fans immediately start saying, as soon as that fight was announced, fans immediately start saying, the race fans at least, start saying, oh, Lomachenko is old, he's past his prime, etc., because they're already trying to prepare themselves for the letdown and the heartbreak that they feel they're going to suffer. Now, when it comes to the whole Devin Haney versus Gervonta Tank Davis situation, it gives racist fans a perfect opportunity to blend in. Basically get in where they fit in. They see that black fans are divided when it comes to Devin Haney versus Gervonta Tank Davis. So they say, oh, this is perfect. Now I can completely discredit and diss Devin Haney, and no one is really going to notice me or pay attention to what I'm saying because black people are saying it. But the difference is those same black fans have actually rooted for Gervonta Davis when he was fighting against someone from a different country that was not black, something these racist fans will never do. None of these non-black fans will root for a black American fighter if he's fighting against someone that's not black. Let me ask you guys a question. When Floyd Mayweather was fighting against Shane Mosley, for those of you guys who remember this fight, do you guys remember who all of the non-black fans were rooting for to win that fight? They were all rooting for Shane Mosley to win the fight. Not because they were fans of Shane Mosley, it was because they were rooting against Floyd Mayweather. Because Floyd Mayweather is considered the bigger threat. For those of you guys who watch the UFC, do you remember when Daniel Cormier, he said, "These fans are rooting for me and they don't even like me, they just hate Jon Jones."
That these people cheer for me and they don't even like me, they just hate Jon Jones. The bad blood.
You see, Daniel Cormier, he was smart enough to realize they weren't really rooting for him. They weren't fans of his. They didn't like him at all. They just hated Jon Jones more because Jon Jones was considered the bigger threat. You know, I've told you guys on many occasions that the majority, the vast majority, at least 80 to 90% of these non-black boxing fans are racist towards black boxers. And I remember I was having a conversation with Aki, and I was telling him this. I was saying, you know, at least 80 to 90% of these fans are racist. And Aki, he said, nah, it's actually more like 99%. He said, because see, when you talk to these non-black boxing fans, they're on code because they don't want to come off as being racist. In other words, they know that they would be proving me right. So Aki tells me whenever he's talking to these non-black boxing fans and there's no black person around, they're very open and comfortable with their racism towards black people then. And Aki is not the only non-black person that has told me this. So once again, my point is there's nothing wrong with you being a fan of particular boxers, maybe even a particular race that you feel you can identify with or you can relate to. But when you are always rooting against a particular race, that is what makes you a racist. Not you being a fan of people from your country or even of your same race. But the problem in the sport of boxing is we know whenever someone is fighting against a black fighter, we know, once again, 99% of the non-black boxing fans, they are going to be rooting against the black American, no matter what country his opponent comes from. This is the reason why America is the only country where you could watch a Devin Haney versus Lomachenko fight and the entire audience is rooting against the American. This happens in no other country but America. This doesn't happen in the UK. This doesn't happen in Canada, Mexico, or the Philippines. It only happens in America, and we know why. With that being said, I'm gonna wrap this video up. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one. Let me tell you, he did a recent interview with Shakur Stevenson's grandfather, Moses. And of course, Moses, he goes out of his way to completely discredit Devin Haney, which is obviously expected. He starts to imply these allegations on Devin Haney buying all of his fights in Mexico, and he's been ducking his mandatories, and he hasn't fought anybody, etc., etc. Stuff that's not supposed to be taken seriously because you know he's just talking. But when this guy starts to imply that Devin Haney bought all of his fights in Mexico, he's been doing all of these things, the guy who's interviewing him, he reacts and he responds by saying,
all right, now check this out,
breaking news.
You're looking to repair eczema,
but he wasn't saying it to be sarcastic. He was really serious when he said it. Fever blisters, diabetic ulcers.
This right here is the perfect product for you guys. It's called Lo-Diki Face and Body Oil. Athletes and top-ranking boxers, they're also using it after training to reduce swelling, inflammation, and to ease the pain. So get yours today. Go to Lodiki.com.
Like them on Facebook and follow them on Instagram.